Yeah, maybe, but the racket will talk.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Racket Will Talk podcast. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Sam.
We are back apart, recording remotely, to talk about Indian Wells, final week of Indian Wells, overall results, and like the first week of Miami, plus some other news, which I'm sure everyone has already heard about. We'll start with Indian Wells, I guess, where once again, Mirra Andreeva won the title. She went back-to-back, winning her first two 1000s back-to-back. Beat Sabalenka in the final. She also beat Rybakina, Iga, Svitolina. It was like a remarkably similar run to Madison Keys's. And just, put some fear into the hearts of WTA players, I suppose. On the men's side, Jack Draper won his first 1000 title in a pretty kind of uneventful tournament, I think it was. Like, I don't think there were very many good matches, and the ones that were exciting were weird, put it that way. Where should we start? Last week we left off just at the round of 16 matches, I think, right?
Yes, we did. And I mean, we both did like predictions quite quickly, and as far as we were, things seemed to go along. Mostly everything that I expected to happen in that round, like, and even in the quarters actually, mostly everything was like going according to plan or to expectations, I suppose.
I think you picked Pegula over Svitolina.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got that wrong, but mostly everything else, I felt like I had a pulse on the thing. I felt like we are back to regular programming, I suppose, and that's how it's going to play out. And I would say it all kind of came crashing down in the semi-final stage, in a sense.
For you?
No, for me. No, actually, that's not the point. Just for expectations, I guess, and for like plans for top players and what we were expecting. I mean, we both said it multiple times, like during the week. We said, it seems like Alcaraz and Swiatek are going back to back, and until that semi-final stage, no one else was really actually contradicting that. It felt really obvious that they were both playing super well, super dominant wins over basically everyone. When they both show up at this event that they have done so well at this stage, it's like, well, what can anyone do? Turns out, quite a lot, if you ask, Andreeva and Draper.
I think you predicted Sabalenka because of the ease of her run, but it wasn't a place where like she was the overwhelming favourite. It wasn't like Australia or anything like that. I think we both were on the page of like they could both easily win. I think I skewed towards Iga because I know she likes those courts, and as you mentioned like a few episodes ago, when she's in conditions she likes, usually she delivers. Things are changing a bit. So what did we have in the round of 16? What did we have? We had, let's find them. What were the good matches? Bencic Goff?
Yes, that was good actually. Yeah, I enjoyed it. In a sense, it was a decent loss for Goff, who had been playing quite poorly in the weeks prior and even early on in Indian Wells. But here she won the first set actually, did quite well, and then Bencic kind of, I felt like, started going for more, and Goff sort of lost her way with her forehand, which can still happen. But quite a good match, really good for Bencic actually. I was really impressed with her in that match. Didn't actually follow up on that well. And that very same night we had Keys against Vekic, which was really, really good.
We watched that. Was that the late night one?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We finished that, and it was a really exciting match from both.
This was the one where Keys looked like she was down and out, and then won from a position that it wasn't completely out of it, but she was down most of the match, couldn't quite get on top of it. Vekic had a lead in the tiebreak, at least in the second set. I don't know if she had a lead in the set.
She did.
As well.
I think she had like maybe a match point or like.
I don't think it was quite match points. No? Yeah, because I would have. Maybe it was match points.
I think it's like the very last like service game of Keys in that second set. I think was like quite tight, and I think like Vekic had like could have had opportunities or something.
Yeah.
It felt like she had it. Probably, you knew that Keys could still probably get out of it, but for like I guess 70 of it, more or less. Vekic felt like she was in the driving seat, the momentum felt like it was mostly on her side.
And this is one of the matches I think is like a pretty good barometer of elite player. Because you'd expect in that situation, second set, heading towards a tie break, tight service games, players like Iga, Coco, Sabalenka, Rybakina, if they're playing well, you think they can squeak through this. And you'd think for the most part, other players probably wouldn't. Vekic was playing well. I don't really think she choked that, even though, she does often in these close matches. I think it was a new keys, and I think it was 2025 keys, and she did, pardon the pun, she just locked in. She looked so motivated. I mean, she was saving, not match points, but important points, winning important points, and like celebrating hard. And when she won that second set, she was really, really happy. So it was like obvious that she was there for it. And I think that match, and then followed by the subsequent match where she absolutely dismantled Bencic 6-1, 6-1, people were pretty afraid, starting to be a bit afraid about keys in this tournament. That I think those were the standouts of that. The fourth round, we also had an absolute routing of Rybakina by Andreeva, but it wasn't a peak Rybakina. I don't understand.
Far from it, actually. No, I think she was really quite poor.
Yeah, no, she was. I think I remember this. I remember we had Sam and I sat down to eat dinner while watching Mukova Swiatek, and I don't think I even got to put a fork in my mouth before the match had finished. It was swift and not Mukova's best performance, I wouldn't say. Iga was good, and I'm willing to fight on this that it was not just Iga being good. Mukova was bad, which is a disappointing, I suppose, because a lot of people were quite excited for that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it happens unfortunately quite a lot. You get to like the quarters or to the round of 16, and you're like, oh my god, so many exciting matchups. Even in the quarters, you're like, oh wow, Bencic and Keys are both playing super well, and then that match happened, and it's like, oh well, that wasn't all that. And actually, it was in the same like half. It kept happening, like Keys Sabalenka. You're like, oh wow, that can be super good. Obviously, repeat of the AO final, but it felt like it was a really big match, and then it happened, and it's like, oh, well, I feel like a fool for getting excited about it. But also, that can happen when you have like two like super aggressive players facing off. One of them can be like really on, and the other can be really off, and you have that kind of scoreline.
Yeah, the dream is like a tight 3-setter with ball bashers peaking, but that rarely happens. And when it does, it's like, wow, that was an incredible match. But it does rarely happen because they're both, a lot of things have to go right for that to be the outcome of the match. All the quarterfinals were straight sets. I'm just looking at the results now. Yeah, pretty uneventful. Yeah, then we had the semi-finals. As Sam mentioned, Sabalenka dismantling again. Keys getting revenge Madison Keys won one game. That is...
I actually didn't see that match like live.
No. I think it was like in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, I can imagine, like I can imagine like Keys like missing a bunch and Sabalenka like hitting like winners every shot. That's something we have seen, so it's like not completely out of the ordinary, I suppose, but still, form of both going in. Keys was on like 16 matches winning streak or something along those lines.
Something like that. I hadn't lost since Towson.
Yeah, no. So you go into it and it's like, oh wow, that should be really exciting. And sometimes that's just how it goes. It's tennis,
Yeah. Still a really, really great result for Keys, I think, who it's hard to come off your maiden slam title. People often struggle coming off Australia because it's like, it feels like your whole off season was building towards that, and there's this big event of you winning. So making the semi-finals at Indian Wells, as someone who she's not like making the finals of 1000s in her sleep quite. Good result, and like still on track for, I think, a pretty good season, unless that particular loss really affects her. And then on the other semi-finals we had Andreeva beating Iga, which I tried so hard to watch all of, but was falling asleep in the second set, not because it was boring, but because it was so late, and I'm a little baby, so You obviously watched that. What was going on there?
It was kind of weird, I suppose, because you had this first set, which for the most part was actually quite exciting. I would say they were both serving well. Actually, they both served really well. There were breaks at the very end, but for the most part they were like holding serve. And so when we did eventually get to a tiebreak, it felt like that was what we were building towards. So it felt like quite satisfying. And then Andreeva played a great tiebreak, Świątek a pretty bad one. So you get this kind of anticlimactic end to the set, and then you have the second set where you feel like Świątek is coming back like really focused, gets a few first games, and then actually quite quickly it felt like Andreeva kind of gave up on it, which was it happens sometimes in when you feel this set is just not happening, and you're down like 3-1 or 4-love or something. Okay, it happens, but it felt early. I feel like it was like 3 games in. Andreeva was like, well, I'll try again in this third or something. And then you get to the third, and it quite quickly becomes weird. Świątek has broken after like a weird like double fault. And then I feel from that moment on, probably, she got really frustrated with like the situation, I guess, with her own level, because at that point she was back to her like worst self on court, which means swinging and missing like a lot for no like real reason, like no margins to anything, and obviously that didn't work out. Andreeva actually even gave her like some openings to come back. She was down like a double break or something, like 4-1, and then Andreeva's serve didn't quite keep up the way it had before in the first set especially, and so Świątek gets one of the breaks back and then holds. And even then, Świątek wasn't really there mentally once more, which at this point is becoming a bit of a concern. That's something you can comment on. You have seen like the videos. There was much discourse surrounding.
Why not? Let's add to it. What do you think?
It's a sign of the extra frustration she's feeling, because I feel like the image that people have is that Świątek is like always really calm. That's not really true. And when it's a like tight match or like a difficult situation, you can see emotion. You can see her like being like annoyed with her coaches or something. You can see it. You can see the emotion. It hardly ever got to that point where she's like launching balls towards her camp or something, or even breaking racket. That's not really something she usually does or did.
Yeah. I think the reason people have the idea of her being calm is because she still ends up usually winning the matches. Like when she's in those frustrated positions, she'll get to a place of that frustration and then she'll come out on top. She'll like save the break points, she'll save the match points, she'll do a comeback. That is very often the outcome in these kind of tighter scenarios. So I think people have it skewed because they think she's able to deal with that, therefore it doesn't really affect her. Whereas you can see, if you actually watch her play, she gets quite frustrated and over quite small things as well. Like, we know she's a perfectionist and she has really high standards for herself. So she doesn't necessarily, I think, always think, it's okay, don't worry. She's not zen about it, which is probably what makes her so excellent, or one of the things that makes her so excellent. But then also in these situations, she gets annoyed if she doesn't think she's playing the right level. And like I said with Keys and her match against Vekic being a good marker of how good she is, a situation like this, I think, shows how good Andreeva is, because most people against Iga, 6-1 second set, you feel her coming back after winning it, like battling through a tight first set that you've put everything into to win. Most people don't win from that position, and they definitely don't get an early break in the third to kind of stop the momentum. I think that was pretty impressive. And I agree that that third set was weird. Andreeva was in her head, in Iga's head, that is. Iga was in her own head. Other people in the box and the crowd were in other people's heads, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. What about the tennis? Like, what do you think Andreeva did that beat Iga there and that has now beaten her twice in a row?
In Dubai, and even in that first set, I was really focusing on her serve, which is almost always, a necessity actually to beat Świątek. I can hardly ever think of like players who can beat Swiatek with a bad serve. Like even you can go, oh well, Ostapenko, but actually Ostapenko when she's facing her, she's serving really well. so even that doesn't like really count. So that's one thing I was really keying in on. I was like, oh wow, she's serving so big, really precise, making a lot of them. And in that first set, mostly that was a big factor. And then in that first set, it was harder to tell, I guess. In Dubai, I was also like really noticing the tactic of bringing Inga forwards, which isn't like really comfortable, especially not on her own turn. She won't like hit great volleys to destroy Andreeva for going to that tactic, and so she got passed a lot in Dubai. A lot of people noticed that, I think. And then in that third set, it's harder to see, honestly. It really felt like mental, like where Iga's level like dropped off a cliff. And then Andreeva, I mean, the most impressive part, I think, is the way she didn't let it be all about Swiatek, because Swiatek like threatened a comeback. She like took 2 games. In that moment, you'd think, oh yeah, this girl is still quite young, still not really experienced. She could get steamrolled here. She could like completely lose her own way and lose that match. That was a possible scenario, but no, she stayed in it really. She actually did hold. She served really well in that one game after Swiatek has won 2 games in a row. So to keep her lead, a break lead, and to close out the match. But a lot of it really felt like Swiatek was just too frustrated to build points, to do anything other than hitting her way out of points, which, yeah, if you go that way, probably not going to work out against someone who is really, really good, as we will, of course, mention again.
What are your thoughts overall on Wim Fissette in the coaching role? Because I know that a lot of the discussion around Iga's recent losses, I suppose in particular the losses that she maybe should have won, which is like in Doha and Indian Wells, like those are kind of 2 of her tournaments. The focus hasn't been on Wim and the new coaching partnership. Do you think it's working? It's too early to say. What's the Iga Nation opinion on that?
From what I can see, he's doing fine. My big thing with regards to like Iga's game late last year was she needs to go back to her roots, basically, which means way more shape on the forehand, relying on her athleticism, her defense more often, which she was really not doing anymore, like at all. And that lost her a lot of matches because she isn't a Rybakina level server who can just make points super quick all the time and have success doing that. That's not really she can do it sometimes decently well. That should never be her main like game plan coming into a match. And for the most part, he has fixed that to an extent. She is most of the time in most matches building points, making them physical, and for me, that was the main reason why she did well in Australia. You know, she got quite close to winning that semi-final, and that would have been her best result ever at the Australian Open. So, and it's not like she completely stopped doing that. It's not like she lost her way with her game in the other tournaments. It's just that mentally, when she can sense it's for some reason she isn't playing as well, or the opponent is playing great, it's not holding up. Like, really, against Andreeva in that first set, it felt like a regression, where she was just hitting out for no reason at all. And I don't think that's Wim Fissette at all. I think he was actually telling her to do the right things. She just wasn't doing it. She's like, oh, well, I don't know, I can't execute, it's not working, let me just try to bash super hard and see what happens. And for that, I don't think you can say, oh, that's because his coaching is not working. Because if the tactics are what they should be, and if he's actually encouraging her to keep doing it in these difficult moments, I can't say he's doing a bad job, you know. So for now, that's how I feel. Actually, I think we have to mention it, the scrutiny with that coaching team is more so on her sports psychologist, who she has been working with for many, many years.
Many years,
yes. And I mean, I don't know how in-depth I truly want to go here, but it's really obvious when you have so many of these losses that feel really mental. It's like you can see the tennis is fine, it's where it should be. But when she's giving up basically against, like she did against Ostapenko, when she's completely crashing out like against Andreeva, it's like that's what a sports psychologist should be targeting. That's your job, and that's where people are half concerned and feel like that part of the team isn't helping the way they should be helping. And also that may be a bit harsh, because obviously that woman, Daria Abramovich, not sure on the pronunciation.
I think that's perfect. I don't speak Polish, but I reckon it's perfect.
Yeah, okay. When you see her also in that coaching box getting like super intense and like even kind of mad and upset, I don't know enough about, the technicalities of these things, but I doubt that should be how your sports psychologist is behaving in your coaching box. That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, you don't think psychologist, someone who gets as riled up as I do, like that's, maybe not the idea. Yeah, she's got a lot of criticism, and I think probably rightly so, as if you say, a lot of mental losses and mental collapses. Obviously, you can't put it all on her, because Iga's the one, theoretically making the decisions here. She's the leader, but that is an element that people do focus on quite a lot. You know what I think is she just needs to switch rackets. I think that'll do it. I mean, I noticed so far from the results of this season, I think coaching relationships have been a big topic on the season. So there was the positive side of it with Bjorn Frantangelo helping Madison Keys to her first slam title, like obviously helping unlock a new Keys. Oh, Steve, stop using the word unlock. I swear to God, it's not on purpose. Also with that is the Andreeva coaching setup, which she seems to be very, very happy with. And you get a young athlete like her. The WTA has historically had issues. I mean, it's not putting it on the WTA, but women's tennis has had issues with younger players and their coaches, and the abuse of power there and all those dynamics. She's got in her corner Conchita Martinez, who seems to be just an excellent choice on that part. Obviously, we can't know everything, but they seem to get on really well. There's like a familial relationship without it seeming like you're the boss of me or I'm the boss of you. I think it just seems to work really, really well. I think they kind of respect each other and tease each other. I remember watching loads of Daria Kasatkina's vlogs with her in. And then obviously we've had the situation with Vukov. So I think this is kind of a running theme throughout the season so far. How the coaching dynamics can like manifest in the outcome, in the results. Well, let's go on to the final then, I guess, because we had just another pretty sensational performance from Andreeva, beating Sabalenka from a set down. It was comfortably her toughest matchup so far. The draw gods had given her Sabalenka just so many times in her first few seasons on tour. I think one of our good friends on Twitter mentioned that I think it's something like 18% of her professional losses have been to Sabalenka. This was before this week.
I think it was like 11.
11, okay, all right, yeah, something like that. Which is still a lot, like, and she'd been someone she had problems with just this season earlier on in the Australian Open. It was quite a one-sided battle, and there she is, one set down. What does she do? Comes back and wins. What were your takeaways from that match?
It was interesting, I would say, because early on I felt like I was seeing the same match that I had seen before, both times in Australia and even in years past, where Andreeva didn't really seem to have good answers for Sabalenka, because she was slicing a lot. Sabalenka, generally, she reacts to that like super well. She doesn't seem to mind. She just hits through it. Like it's there to be hit, it's not an issue for her. Usually doesn't seem to be. And Andreeva actually had some opportunities to get some breaks in that first set. And when she didn't convert on those, you could see, oh, that's going to be an issue for her.
It's happening again. She likes to miss break points on Sabalenka's serve.
And you could see it was already getting to her like quite early on in that first set. And you go, oh, well, it just is what it is. Sabalenka wins it 6-2. Seems like we are in for the same story. But she did eventually get that one break that she had been chasing for several matches in a row.
It was 0-18, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
She was 0 from 18 break points converted in matches against Sabalenka this year.
This year, I think it is, yeah. And it seemed to unlock everything. Actually, that second set especially, Andreeva was amazing. Like, so good. She hit like 17 winners or something in a set that wasn't even that long.
As someone who's not a big winner hitter as well, so that's like, she's not a basher.
Yeah, it was so impressive. The full range of her ability was on display. I felt like all of the shots, so much variety, but it really felt like she was executing it so well, all of it. Her serve seemed untouchable at that point. All of it was a really amazing display of what she can do, what she's already capable of. I was so impressed with that second set especially. First set, I don't know how you felt watching that last set.
I don't know how I felt. It was quite a long time ago. What happened? Remind me.
Andreeva breaks early, once again, and then she gets broken back. They are like at 1-0, and both have broken each other. So it's like, okay, maybe we are in for a really like competitive and difficult third set. That was maybe the vibe coming in, because you would expect Sabalenka to fight, of course. That's something she does really well. But that didn't really happen. Honestly, it felt like the momentum that Andreeva initially got from that second set mostly carried on, and Sabalenka didn't quite push back in the way I thought she could or she would.
Yeah, I do remember now. I was strangely confident once Andreeva had won that second set. And like the start of the third set, I was strangely confident that she would win the match, because I just thought she was then at that point playing at a level that could quell the game of Sabalenka on the day, that she had everything that she needed to, and that Sabalenka losing the second set would have bothered her quite a bit. I think I could have seen this being a pretty straightforward straight sets win for Sabalenka, but once that wasn't the case, Andreeva was in the match, she showed that she had the game to win stuff against Sabalenka no matter what it is. I kind of thought she was winning it. And yeah, there's always the doubt, you think Sabalenka's so used to winning against Andreeva, she's going to have opportunities to come back. But I just thought Andreeva was very good. Probably not even her like best level, but the stuff she does really well, and she's able to keep doing it well. I think she is. I really genuinely think that when you watch her, you can see how smart she is as a tennis player. I think it's remarkable looking at this player and thinking that's a 17-year-old, because it's just like the decision making, and it's instinctual, right? You don't have time on the court to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do now, and think about things and calculate everything. It comes from like, I don't know, it comes from a place within. It comes from experience. It's like muscle memory of knowing how you should construct points depending on the scenario and depending on how your opponent's playing. I think she is, and I'll talk a bit later about what I think is great about her game, because I think lots of people are still in the place where they can obviously see the results happening, but they might not necessarily see why they're happening. But it's quite obvious to me. I could always see it, and that's why I've been quite high on her since I saw her, 2.5 years ago, I think. That's how I felt. I
feel like in that first set that there might have been some room, honestly. I don't think she was... I think she was playing well, but not quite as well. And not serving... I don't think she was serving as well either. So it felt like Sabalenka could have pushed back some more, but she wasn't executing quite that well. Maybe she was... a bit shell-shocked with the way that second set went or something. It's hard to gauge, really, because Sabalenka has been playing so well for 2 to 3 years now. Like, so often on hard courts, just feels like really the best of them all. And you never question her fight. And that was a match where I kind of did, honestly, which is pretty surprising to me.
Andreeva's doing something to them. I don't know.
Yes, of course.
Do you think that there's an issue there? A bit of her age? A bit of the fact that is there some element of being a bit concerned about the future? Like, we are getting beaten by a 17-year-old. Okay, maybe right now I could hold my ground and beat her, but I'm pretty worried about what's coming up.
It's hard to say. Honestly, I don't think that really manifests in the matches themselves. I think it might be like a collective feeling, like in the locker room. It's like, oh, we are getting beat on by someone who hasn't graduated high school. That's really something that is happening.
Oh my god, is she that young?
I think maybe quite a few of the players don't feel great about that, which you can understand, honestly. I don't think it's like, oh, she doesn't deserve it. It's more like, how is that happening? You know, I can, and especially because it's not that common anymore for someone so young to play so well and win so much. You know, that's not really a thing to that extent.
Yeah, in the way that she's done it, which is like, I don't think she's actually had a meteoric rise. The same way that Coco did, that they really earned their stripes on tour with a few seasons of grinding it out, decent results, quarterfinals, you know, being put in their place quite a bit, as with Andreeva and Sabalenka, that head-to-head. It's pretty amazing that we've known about her for so long. She feels so stable as a presence on the tour. We know she can play a full season. We know she can kind of have quite consistent results. And she's 17, like, what is that? I mean, okay, I do have a caveat on Andreeva, and maybe I should say the nice stuff before I say the harshest thing. I'll start with the harsher thing, because then we can go to all the praise I have for her. I don't think she'll have, and this is the case for a lot of like teen prodigies in tennis, especially in women's tennis, I don't think she'll have the trajectory of someone who's elite when they're 23. And it's probably quite obvious to say that, because there's pretty much nowhere she could go. You know, I mean, she could improve, but she couldn't get that. She'd be winning every single match easily if she stayed on a trajectory of regular people who peak at regular ages. She is quite tall and strong for her age. Like, she has quite an adult body, which is one thing that, and I'm not saying it's fully grown, but she's taller than a lot of 17-year-olds. And it's one thing that's made it possible for there to be more teen prodigies on the WTA, is that a lot of girls by the age of 16, 17, 18 are like quite close to the build that they'll be when they're adults. So when we look at something like Andreeva's serve, which has come on so much this year, it's not going to get, maybe his famous last words, it's not going to get like ridiculously better over the course of the next, I think, 5 years, which is fine. Because, you know, having said that with that caveat, which is maybe quite obvious for people, she is really, really, really good. And, well, she's number six in the world right now. She's obviously beaten Rebecca in two 1000s back-to-back and Iga in two 1000s back-to-back. Both of whom are like quite good 1000 players, you'd say. Both of them fine, not at their best, willing to concede that. But how much does that matter? She can win two 1000s in a row, beating the players who are in front of her in the form that they're in. Yeah, and the numbers show it as well, because, I mean, lots of people remarked this, that after the match and after the tournament, you're getting all these youngest since Serena, first since Steffi, only player since Steffi and Serena, that kind of thing, stats for Andreeva. So it's the same. Iga has a lot of those stats in her own right.
Not that many, no. And it's not about age as much.
No, definitely not about age. Definitely not about age. She's pretty old. I mean, all those bagel bakery stats, the winning streak stats, you can't now pretend that Iga doesn't have a lot of good comparisons. Go on the Optarace Twitter and search her name. But Andreeva has those, like, I can't think of any of them now, but really, like, monumental things that put her up there. A lot of it was youngest winner of Indian Wells, I think.
I think one of them was like
only teenager to beat number 1 and 2.
Yes, and the only other names on that list were in fact
Steffi and Serena.
Yes, that's the best comparison you could have. You know, if I wanted to make up a stat to gas someone up and I had to put like 2 names to compare it to, those would be the names. So.
Yeah, of course. So we're not saying like, oh yeah, she's going to be as good as those two, because she might not. You've got a lot of players who did this when they were really young. Martina Hingis, who then didn't become the greatest ever. But I'll put a pin in her. Not put a pin in her, but she's definitely to watch over the next, like...
You would do what to her?
over the next maybe 20 years, depending on how keen she is. She could easily play for 20 years. Is that right? Yeah. That would be 37. Wow.
That would be pretty long. A long career.
That's how the GOATs go. Yeah, I'm not saying that's the expectation, but if we are witnessing one of the best ever, it might be for 20 years. Anyway, we'll enjoy what we've got now. I really love her. I love her game. I like her demeanour and her personality. I think she adds something exciting to the tour because I think the way we saw with Iga in 2022 being like historically outrageously good, it brought up the whole level of the tour. And I really think a lot of the players would say that themselves. They see like, wow, this is what I'm going to have to do and this is what I'm going to have to be to get what I want. It's not a free-for-all now at these tournaments. I have to start, locking in. And I think having talent and having it come from a different place, from a different angle, from a different trajectory, does change the dynamic. So you're going to probably feel some players who think, I'm getting older. I want to win my Wimbledon title on Jabeur. There's a young player who I reckon could be really good on grass, and she's just going to get better and better, so I have to do what needs to be done. So I think she will be a good thing on tour. She's so far relatively consistent. What do you think about Andreeva's game? Because I'm gonna talk about what I think is great about it, but I'm interested.
I mean, to me, I of course, people have said that before. The really obvious comparison is Hingis, and it's really not about her age, or it is partially about her age, but also it is about the game as well. Because so often when you look back and you check up on what made Hingis good, so young as well, what was it? It was really all about all the things she could do on the court, which was many of the shots, drop shots, slices, great volleys, but also really what I felt like I understood was a vision of the game that was like really unique and really sharp, knowing what shot is the right shot at that moment, that kind of like innate ability to see what's going to work. All the time when we talk about players who have lots of options, lots of tools, the issue tends to be, she doesn't seem like she's quite sure what she wants to do here. On Draper has struggled with that quite a lot. Andreeva, you don't get that feeling at all. You feel like she has got it. She knows what she needs to do in that really specific moment. She has like a quarter of a second to come up with it, and she's got it. She knows what's going to work. And that enables her to win matches doing so many different things. And that's obviously really exciting. And that's what makes that comparison so obvious and so, I think, relevant.
And it also means these first of all, the toolkit and then the command of the tools means that you don't worry about her in specific matchups. You think she could go from playing Sara Sorribes Tormo and win that. She could play then Anna Kalinskaya and win that match. She could then play Emma Navarro and win that match. You trust her, even at her age, to go in there and know how to tackle what's thrown at her, which is, I think, something that we don't see that often. We really quite a lot of the time, I think we notice players who've got a hole or a repeatable way to target them or a repeatable way to beat them or something that they really struggle with. And then you put that matchup in front of them and that's that. But I trust her to change and adapt her game plan for whatever's in front of her. The way I would categorise her is she places the ball on the court better than anyone right now. I think that is pretty shocking to see how well she can move the ball around. And I think I mentioned it in the last episode as well, that that was how I saw her last few years. And I think she's slowly building up more and more power. So now the ball's in right at the corner of the court where I don't want it to be, and it's moving quite fast. And then she can take it cross court, and then she can use the forehand slide, which she loves. It's just like you said, the vision. I think that's a really good point, that vision, coupled with like all the technical ability she has. It makes for a very, very good player and a very efficient player, because you look at Djokovic as the same thing. How does he win matches? He moves the ball around pretty much. That is pretty much if you were to describe it in one kind of basic sentence, that's what he does. And it's a really hard thing to combat because you're basically having to hit from positions that the other player is dictating. And it's hard to get on top of the rally, so you could be an aggressive player playing Andreeva, who we sometimes consider to not really be an aggressive player, and you can't get to your spots and hit your right shots. It's almost like pre-defense. I'm going to defend by making it hard for you to attack, rather than I'm going to let you attack and then I'm going to get the ball back. She's also an excellent scrapper, I think that. Points never over, she can throw up a lob in defence. The return is really good and has been forever. So, yeah, just a great player. I really, really love watching her. I'm quite happy for this. I'm maybe in the minority, but I'm happy about this.
No, I do think quite a lot of people are rightfully excited about how good she is and how good her game is.
I think people still don't love teens.
Yeah, I guess it's not
but
trendy
I'm
anymore.
so far past it that I'm like, I don't even see there's no competition there. There's a bit of a thing. I think younger people are kind of like, oh, it's a tiny part. They're like, oh, why are you so good? But like, she's so much younger than me, I could barely care. Like, my competition is Kvitova and Venus Williams.
Honestly, I don't compare myself. Also, you just made that up. They're like 15 years older than me. I don't really compare myself to tennis players in that way. It's like
I don't think it's that. I just think that is in the back of people's minds a bit of like,
that's something that can be annoying to people. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean.
Plus, like, people just don't like her for regular reasons. That's fine. I'm not.
I think now it feels like it's a brand new world. You know, it's like, so what's up now? Are you going on your 35 matches winning streak? Is that happening or not? I'm excited to see. You know, it's a storyline that I didn't see coming quite this way. I thought she would do well this year. I had her in my top 10 year in prediction, so I'm not fully caught off guard, I suppose, but I didn't think it would be this good, this quick, beating so many of these players like consecutively. I'm really so impressed, and I guess it's interesting just to see what now.
Yeah, I'm not caught off guard. I guess I suppose I was kind of always waiting for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came in 2 years' time rather than now, you know? Like, I wasn't like, hurry up and get it. Like, with Yannick Sinner, it was very much, for me, a situation of like, bro, come on, we're waiting. And then he did it and you're like, okay, fine. For her, it could have happened this year, could have happened at the end of this year, there was a bit more leeway there. She's managed to get there early. Indeed, interesting to see whether, I don't know, is she going to win a slam this year? I see it happening. I predicted her to win Wimbledon last year. Didn't happen. I'm on it this year. I think she's going to beat Ons in the final. I think I already said this.
she lost to Brenda Fruhvirtova last year at Wimbledon.
She found the only person younger than her and was like, yeah. Yeah. How did she lose to Brenda? Okay, I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to upset people. That's crazy.
I do think the serve was a game changer, like big time.
Yeah. First round she lost to her. Anyway.
First round?
Yeah. She must have been injured.
That's the Mukova fan talking. You're like, well, that must be it, of course. And now let's move on to the men's throw, which we kind of ignored. Honestly, round of 16 onwards, I only have 2 matches that felt, or maybe 3 if you want, but mostly 2 really stood out to me that week. Being the quarterfinal match between Medvedev and Arthur Fils, which it wasn't even that relevant for the outcome of the tournament, but on its own as a match, super exciting. Everything that could possibly happen in tennis match happened that match. Crazy wind, switches in like momentum, Medvedev fighting with the crowd. It was all happening, and the tennis was good. It was mostly really good. That's easily Fish's best week of the year. It hasn't been good actually so far. But he got super close to beating Medvedev in that match, and for Medvedev, I think it felt really, really good to finally win one of those matches where you're obviously getting pushed a lot and you have lost that match quite a few times, like not that match specifically, but that type of match recently. But then he got over the line, didn't really deliver that well in the semi-final, but in that moment it felt quite big. And then the other match, as you can guess, as everyone can guess, that really stood out to me would be the Alcaraz Draper semi-final, which was really strange. I saw all of it, the whole thing, even though it was quite late.
It wasn't long though.
Did you catch up with it?
Yes, I watched the whole thing. I would just comment on the Medvedev match. Didn't he do something really, really, really like inappropriate towards like an umpire or something?
No, oh, maybe he fought with an umpire. He kind of always does.
The thing is, yeah, I think I at some point was like, this is enough. Like it's getting. He's like 28 years old or something
It's been too much for so long for me. I'm way over it.
Yeah.
But the match itself was really, really excellent. He had that big like celebration.
Yeah. I think I'm just. Yeah.
You're done with him.
Yeah, I think so. The gimmick doesn't work as well when you're balding and nearly 30 and like his career's in a bit of a sad place. So it feels like it comes from a place of desperation more than like, I don't know, when he was winning all that and he was kind of a younger, surprising player and he was pitted against someone like Zverev, who is a golden boy and unreasonably arrogant. Then I think that was like a cool
storyline. Yeah.
And also Tsitsipas, that was his head-to-head. Tsitsipas, a bit kind of the petulant, talented young guy who doesn't really know what to say in situations. Now it's like you're the granddad in the house where you've got these fun, plucky Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, who ruffles feathers without moving a muscle, and Holger Rune, who's like the updated version of Medvedev. It just kind of narrative-wise, his character feels a bit tired. They need to write him off. They've got to write him off next season. The ATP is scripted.
Like, your time is done. It's time to go home. No, I understand, but I still really enjoyed that match, which can happen.
Unfortunately, like I said it a few episodes ago, I still root for him and his tennis to get back to a good level because I think it's a nice game style to have up there, and
it's unique,
It's unique, and
no one played like him.
Actually, yeah, and at his best, he was bloody good. Like, it's hard to watch, and you can't get it from the highlights because the shots are never hit faster than about 20 miles an hour. But sometimes, if you watch a full match, you're like, oh my god, how do you beat him? This is how you play tennis. This is how you should play tennis. You beat a wall. Yeah. Anyway. That's him. I thought we were talking about Jack Draper and Alcaraz, and then we'll go to Rune Medvedev, because I do think, as uneventful as it was, again, narrative-wise, reasonably eventful. I did catch Draper Alcaraz. The first two sets were over in less than an hour, I think it was. This was the weird match I was alluding to earlier when I said there were some weird matches, because this was a weird match. I did the thing where I usually do, where I didn't like tune in for the first point. I was like, oh, this match is on, I forgot. And I only realised because I saw people on Twitter tweeting about it. And it was, Alcaraz is clowning, what's he doing? Oh my god, what's going on? And I was like, okay, it's probably 2-2 on serve. And then I put it on, it was like 4-love. I was like, how? Like, Alcaraz has been playing well, and he's very good at Indian Wells, and he's very, very good tennis player. He just was awful. Like, I thought he was so bad. There was a point where he'd hit more unforced errors than he had won points. And it was like 19 is in the first set, something like that. It was bad. And then he went, oh, maybe I should win this match. And then the second set came, and it was, I would say, it was a tape cool. Do you know the word I'm trying to say?
No.
It's the French word for seesaw. Hello guys, it's Editing Charlotte here. Unfortunately, some of the audio got messed up, so I've had to use a different file. It sounds a bit different, slightly lower quality. If you are an audiophile like me, that might bother you, but hopefully the content is intact, and hopefully I get a bit better at this. as time goes on. Anyway, this was the definition of a seesaw match. 6-1 first set to Draper, Alcaraz missing everything. 6-love second set to Alcaraz. Alcaraz playing. He wasn't like lights out good, but he was good. He was good. He was good enough, and I think the shocking switch in level was what partially was responsible for that one-sidedness. I think like if he'd come out playing that level, you'd see a relatively competitive first set, but he just like showed up. And then at that point, I was like, okay, yeah, fine. Now he's here. He's remembered how to play tennis, and he's going to win the match. And then he didn't win the match. Why didn't he win the match?
I don't know. I mean, I will say Draper was doing a lot of things right for the most part, serving super well. I thought like that kick, the way he hits his like second serve, it was bouncing like super high, and Alcaraz like couldn't really get like a clean hit on it a lot of the time. So that was one thing. And then, well, maybe that did disturb Alcaraz. There was this controversial point, which I don't think was all that controversial. So there was a wrong call on the umpire's end where he interrupted the point, saying there was a double bounce, which would have given Alcaraz the point. It was very obviously not a double bounce. So obviously, Draper called for video review. So we can see it wasn't a double bounce. So initially, the call was, we are going to replay the point. But Draper went, hold on, I was winning that point. I actually had won it, because what happened was Alcaraz hit, I think, a drop shot. Draper got to it way faster than Alcaraz anticipated, and he hit like a counter drop shot. Alcaraz like barely got to it and then just hit the ball way out. But the call came before he hit the ball. So according to the rules, the point should be replayed, because you can't really determine whether Alcaraz would have missed without the call. But to me, seeing it, I don't think he was making that ball. And actually, I think that's why Alcaraz kind of just let it happen. He was like, yeah. So Draper asked him, he was like, would you have made that ball without the call distracting you? Well, no. So that's how Draper got the point, which mostly I think he deserved, because he hit the winning shot. But there is a possibility that this whole thing kind of just distracted Alcaraz, and he played worse from then on, maybe?
Yeah, this was mostly notable because I think the VR was being used, and it was used twice in the same point, which I thought was maybe I'm too British and I'm more British than Jack Draper, but I would be if you ask for it once, I would feel cheeky asking for it again in the same point. Oh, actually, can you review whether or not you said it early enough? Sorry, excuse me. But he did it. Yeah, rightly so. I agree. He would have won the point. Alcaraz was on board with that as well. He's known for his amazing sportsmanship. He genuinely gives away points quite often. Usually it doesn't affect him because he's just so good. But it was kind of unassuming. I think it was early in the third set, and it was Alcaraz serving, and it was 15-30 or something 30-15, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Draper already had the edge in that game. I think he won the first 2 points or something. But yeah, and then Draper broke right after.
Maybe Draper had the edge, but it didn't feel this is a huge point. It's break point, yeah. Whatever. Because I was in the position of okay, just give it up. Who cares? Yeah. It's Alcaraz's service game. He'll win it.
And also he had just dominated that second set, so it's well, he'll be fine. But no, I mean, and from then it was all about Draper again. I don't know. I don't understand Alcaraz, honestly, in that way.
I'm understanding him less and less as time goes by. When I first probably watched him 2021, I got him. And I was I can know what to expect from you. I can see your future. 2022, yeah, makes sense. And then it's just what? Every year, it's getting a little worse on the standard level of tour stuff. It's feeling less like he has control over when his game is on and how to get his game on. He feels a bit more tired, a bit more frustrated. Yeah. I don't think it feels as electric watching him anymore. Maybe that's just because you've become used to that. It's a little bit older, and that perhaps that like shocking initial speed has gone from when he was like a teenager. But yeah, I don't get it. That tournament was his for the taking. He wouldn't have had to. I don't think he would have had to work that hard for it. And I completely get his, if he wants to be the guy who wins the Channel Slam, and then like sometimes loses to Botic van der Zandschulp, and sometimes loses to Fabian Marozsan. Like that's cool, and like picks up a few small tournaments along the way. But I'm a bit baffled at the moment by the balance, and whether he feels in control of the balance, whether he knows, right, when it comes to it, I'll be ready, and I'll get enough points in the season to challenge for number one, and I'll be fresh enough to compete with Yannick when he's back. This kind of thing. I don't know how he feels about his game. I would love to know. Carlos, if you want to come on the pod, I'd be happy to have you.
I love how low we are aiming, you know.
Yeah, who'd be the first guest? Guys,
Yeah, of
we
course.
got a guest. It's Carlos Alcaraz.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Are you in this similar boat to me?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's just weird. I'm not one to. I feel like people get super like worried when he like loses to people he shouldn't lose to, but also it's happened enough for me to be like, well, it's probably fine. You know, he'll play well soon enough, and he'll have another great season. It's that one loss to Lehechka in Doha isn't a big deal. You know, that's how it felt, and even more so knowing, oh, Indian Wells is next. Always so good at Indian Wells. He'll be fine. We're all good. And then we get to that semi-final match and he's bad. And it's like, okay. Also, I think it's really interesting how he said that he felt like super nervous the whole day because he was facing Draper. I think that's pretty interesting. No, I'm not making that up. He said
No,
that.
No, I know. I wasn't like, oh, that's a lie.
No.
Do you think he's got a crush?
I don't know about a crush, but he really respects I guess the skills of Draper, which are
ego against Mukova, so
well, that's true. Yes,
I thought that was going to come into play. I thought that was going to be like, this is all.
She's like, oh wow, Mukova is so good, and then
yeah,
they show up at goal. It's like, well, it's just weird, you know. It's like you're way better than him, or at least so far you have been way better than him. But anyway, he was stressed, and that showed, and he lost. Happens.
He's taking the humble gimmick so far that he's like, no, this guy, I'm really scared. It's like, you know, that one friend who would be like, oh, I did so
on the exam
on that test.
But then it actually happens. It's like, oh wow, it's true. You did do bad.
But it's like, you are Carlos Alcaraz and this is Indian Wells, and you're in the semi-final. Like, okay, if he takes a sloppy early round exit, fine, you know, that's going to happen, and that's a banana skin. I am a bit concerned because, like, you'd think we're at the point, or at least approaching the point, where he can roll through winning 5 tournaments a season, some of them 1,000, some of them a lower level. He play quite well, but he won't have to dig crazy deep. And then on top of that, 1 or 2 slams or a year-end final, something like that. That's where you want him to be, and that's where you kind of expect him to be, because his level of tennis is just so good, and he can win in so many ways. That's what we should expect from him. Like, and I kind of now we'll see where the Alcaraz stands come from. They sometimes talk like he's, I don't know, like they've just witnessed a 7th consecutive Wimbledon final loss or something like that. And I think, you know, calm down. You're still an Alcaraz fan, and he's got 4 slams. 4, yeah. But then you see something like this, he's in a position to win. There's no Sinner waiting in the final. There's no Djokovic waiting in the final. You just have to beat Draper and Rune. You're better than both of them. They're like your peers. I don't get it. Maybe he'll never be... I find it so hard to imagine he'll never be that guy who rolls through 5 tournaments a year plus 2 slams. I find that really surprising because he's just... I can't think of a player whose career he's going to look like if he stays on the path he's on, you know? Yeah, don't get it. The Venus Williams quote, I think, is pretty apt right now because it's just nonsense everywhere. I do not know what's going on with the ATP right now. What is Djokovic doing? I mean, he's literally just bageled Rinky Hijikata when trying to beat the washed allegations. What is Sinner doing? We're legally not allowed to know.
He's going to fashion shows or something.
Tsitsipas might be back, but is still owned by Rune. Rune might be good, but can't show up for a final. Medvedev was back and then lost to Jaume Munar. Anyway, let's talk about the final as well, because that's the...
Well, as you said, not the best from Rune, I think it's fair to say. But this time, actually, I think it's really important to highlight just how good Draper can be. Yeah, as we said, the semi-final match, kind of weird, up and down from both. Okay, hard to really read into that and be like, oh, that's so impressive from Draper. But in that final, he's so good. So good. I mean, everything, the first set especially, everything was firing, every direction, every shot, amazing. Incredibly good level. And I think early on, Rune was just shell-shocked. I don't think he could really believe how good that was. And that showed his level, Rune's level, was also, well, not great. Missing a lot, way too much. Tactically, I think Draper came super prepared, made sure that he could find as many forehands as possible, and that day it was truly excellent. So pacey, huge. Every single one of them huge. Insane amount of topspin on every single one of them. I think at one point, Rune was defending, and so he's quite far back off court, and Draper hits his forehand, and by the time it gets to where Rune is, it bounces way higher. It was he hit a kick serve, but no, it's not a kick serve, it's a forehand. It was just so impressive. I've been mostly Draper believer. I always felt like he was really good. But, for different reasons, injuries, you know the drill, couldn't get to where you felt like he could go. Didn't think he could be this good, honestly, tennis-wise.
Is that the best you've seen him play, that first set?
By far, actually. And then second set, I think he was still mostly playing well, but there was way more opportunities for Rune. He just wasn't actually in the right mindset to actually go out and try to make it a real match. So ended super quickly, so obviously not a great final, but really my big takeaway was Draper can really do the thing, that's a super high level of tennis that could disturb many, many people.
And impressive to bring that in his first big final. A big thing about Jack Draper, injury and just straight up throwing up on court has really plagued him. I think he does well in these big situations on the whole. That first win against Alcaraz at Queen's, he played centre court against Djokovic when he was 8 years old and won a set.
And then he lost to Norrie after a great season.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying, the occasions, I think he does quite well on them. Maybe it's biased, but I usually get concerned about British and French players. For some reason, I feel like they're going to crumble. they don't have the dog in them, in my head. But yeah, he's got it. What do you think is good about Draper's game then? We'll do what we did with Andreeva. What makes him elite, if he is elite?
He always been a really strong baseliner who has really great shot tolerance. So that's always a good thing. I think both forehand and backhand both always were decently solid. You felt like that wasn't going to break down. But the issue was he's a good mover. He's a fine athlete. He isn't Alcaraz. He isn't Djokovic. He isn't Sinner either, or even Rune. Actually, Rune is way quicker as well. So you felt well, that's going to limit you if you can only grind, but there are still people who are way more athletic who can just do that better than you.
So if he doesn't have any point-ending weapons, you mean?
Exactly, yes. And now I think that's changing really quickly. The serve, in that final, was also really excellent. And as I mentioned, that forehand can be super imposing. I think especially on court that have a lot of bounce to it. I think it can just look overpowering, really. So I think that's mostly about it. I think he can do everything decently well, but really that's what has changed and what can make him elite. If he isn't already, I think you could make the argument that he is now.
Well, maybe we'll have to see it for 6 months, maybe, of him being elite on the ATP rankings.
Yeah, actually, for quite a few months, I felt like the rankings hadn't caught up to how good he had started to play. He was always around 18 to 12, And he felt top 10. He has felt like he has been top 10 to me for like 6 months.
And he is number 4 in ELO. And I think we talked about it, how he'd been up there for a while, right? Mirra Andreeva, number 3 in ELO, by the way, while we're doing that. So those are kind of like, those are our check up on the Indian Wells champions. She is pretty close to Iga at the moment. Did you see that?
I did, yes. It's not surprising.
Actually, she's pretty close to Sabalenka. We could be looking at Andreeva ELO number 1 quite soon.
I think Elo is like really good at catching on to an excellent run of form, you know? Like if you have this like huge run where you beat excellent players, Elo is going to reward that like super quickly, and you are going to see it right away. It's not going to be like, oh well, she needs X and Y to drop points and then, you know, her own points, whatever. No, you have like 5 excellent weeks where you either beat all of the best or only lose to the best. Elo sees that and ranks you really high super quickly. And
Draper had already built a pretty good base by pretty regularly beating the people she needs to beat, I think.
Yes. Not really losing to people she should lose to, except for Shramkova.
Yes. Yeah, well, no comment. I think she's good. Keys number 5 in the ELO. By the way, guys, if anyone listening doesn't know what ELO is, it's like Sam is genuinely a stan. It's not the band, obviously, Electric Light Orchestra. It is essentially a measure of, I think if a certain difference in two people's ELO is a prediction of the probability that one is going to beat the other. I learned about it from a chess context first, and I think it's actually not, it doesn't stand for anything. There's a Hungarian guy whose name is ELO who came up with it. And I think it was originally used for chess, but in any of these,
it was.
In any sport or game where there's a matchup between two people, they can provide ELO ratings in that. And it, like as Sam says, it's like a good measure, the bit better than the rankings of how a player's quality over their
right now, you know.
Yeah, right now,
in
over their
moment.
over their like, oh, lucky draws, or like, oh, when, you know, picked up 500 points where the player you played in the final was Emiliana Arango. They're like, if you're into that, check them out.
To sum it up like the simplest way I could, the regular rankings award you the same amount of points based on the level of the tournament, like it's like a 500 or slam. You always get the same amount of points for winning that round to match, you know. Same for everyone, it's the fairest way to do it. ELO takes the opponent. So you could face, if you beat Sabalenka in the first round of a slam, or if you beat her in the final of a slam, you get virtually the same amount of points, because it's not about where you are, or what round, or what type of tournament. It's about who are you beating. Basically, that's all that matters, really.
So it also really does take into account, not take into account, but yeah, it makes up for easy draws. So if you look at a player and you think, blimey, they always get really easy draws, that's how they're number 4 in the world. Check out the ELO compared to that, and if there's a big difference there, then you can know you're right about it. For example, Mukhova, number 9 in the ELO. Yeah, that's that on Indian Wells. I think I would say overall, actually a really good few weeks for Rune, and I'm sure he'd agree. Probably there is some frustration that's going to start kicking in, if it hasn't already, about losing these 1,000 finals, because he's now lost 3. I think all of them he was favoured in. He lost Monte Carlo, or
he did. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
And Rome, yeah.
And Rome to Medvedev, and then he's lost this one to Draper. Obviously, the only one he's won is against Djokovic from a set down, for some reason. But, you know, good performance. Got to keep putting yourself in the position, and I'm sure he will start performing the level that he wants to in those finals. But it's better than an early round loss, I think. As a Rune enjoyer, I'm happier than I would be, obviously, if he lost early. That's probably that for Indian Wells. Anything else interesting happen? There were no bees this year.
No bees, no. There was rain, which is pretty shocking for the desert, but you know.
There's a song called "It Never Rains in Southern California." Does Indian Wells sit in that? Is it southern?
I think so.
Okay, so
I'm bad at geography. I actually don't know that.
Okay, we should sue. I think that's about that. Nothing else fun happened. I don't remember. So, on to Miami, which we've had the first few days of. We had those few days which were non-days where I kept opening the apps and being like, Are we still in qualifying? No, it was the main part of the tournament. We still just have Katie McNally versus Rebecca Stramkova. I don't even know if either of them were in the draw, but not the most exciting few days. We've now kicked into the real juice of the tournament. What's happened so far? What have we seen? What's the notable stories?
It's hard to say, actually. I'm not really getting a sense for now of super exciting storylines. That's something obviously that's going to be of interest for us both. Naomi Osaka has won her first 2 matches, so that's one thing. Okay, she returned to Indian Wells after not playing since Australia. Really struggled there. Famously played, according to her, the worst match of her life there. So obviously not a great way to come back. And she also really struggled in that first round match against Ukrainian woman whose name I don't think I can say. But she was really struggling in that match, but she found a way back. So that was a good sign. And then she confirmed, because she actually played apparently a really great match last night against Samsonova. So that was maybe already a storyline.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Can you look up who Naomi played and tell me the first letter of the name? I want to see if I can get it, because I did watch like the whole match, and I
think it's a Y, isn't it? The first letter.
Of the surname.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, Stremska.
No, it's not Stremska.
I know.
Yeah. Oh no, it's S.
That's the surname.
Yeah, the last name starts with
And what's
S.
the first name start with?
Y.
Shvedova. I know it's not her. Oh my god, this is crazy. I watched this whole match.
Staro
Dubsaver. Yes.
Yes.
Staro Dubsaver. That is, she's going to be my new made up person. Okay, fine. But look, she's got a wild name, which actually I think Martina Navratilova in the broadcast said what it meant. Oh, it means like of the oak tree or something like that. Of the oak, whatever. She was playing well. I was like, we got another McCartney Kessler situation, especially for the first 1.5 sets. I was like, okay, you're better than you should be, you know? And I do still believe, maybe I'm biased, people play Naomi quite hard. They are keen for that match. They are keen to show themselves and see if they could get that as a win, because I think there's a balance of it feeling like a big occasion, but knowing that they can win that match because she's beatable. If you show up against Iga, realistically, you're not going to win. So it's a big occasion, but an impossible win. For Naomi, big occasion, possible win. And Stara Dubseva had that. She was playing well. She was actually matching Naomi for pace, I think. It looked like it, at least, which I would be concerned about. But
I don't really think she was.
I think it looked pretty...
I think she was like defending well mostly, and then Naomi was just like missing like the third or fourth shot, basically.
That's true, but she's a better hitter than I was expecting. I'll say that. And I started getting a bit concerned about whether Naomi still got it in terms of ball striking. But she did really, really well to come back in that. She was down in the second set. She was about to lose in straights, and she said, you know what? I'm not going 0-2 in the Sunshine Double. I'm not going to do that. Not for Charlotte and not for Shay. Is that her daughter's name? Shy.
Yes, it is.
Something
Shy,
like that.
yeah.
I shan't do that. And she locked in. And it was a gutsy performance. I wasn't expecting it, like that kind of thing outside of a slam. Again, like she should beat Stara Dubseva if she wants to do well in the future, but still a good thing. And then, comes back and plays Samsonova. Sam and I were both sleeping, but apparently it was a very good match. And I think I saw the stats. She hit like...
I don't think it was like a good match, but I think it was a great performance from Naomi.
It's rarely a good match when Samsonova was there, because she's either winning easily or losing easily.
That's fair.
That is a relatively big narrative in terms of, we always got Naomi's a one that we look forward to earlier on in these tournaments. Last night, Joao Fonseca played Lerna Tien, and that was kind of an event because obviously these are two of the up-and-comers. That's a rematch of the ATP Next Gen Finals final. And Fonseca came through that in 3 sets, and the crowd was obscene. Like, how many Brazilians are there everywhere? Because there's Brazilians everywhere where I live, and there's Brazilians everywhere every tournament you go.
I think there are more Brazilians in Miami than in London, or in most places.
I wouldn't be surprised, but when I get the train home on Fridays from work, there's a stop and everyone who gets on is Brazilian, and I don't understand why.
It's a Brazilian stop, I guess.
But it's not even in the area that is where I know Brazilians live. So I was like, okay, so they've got 2 areas in London now, and there's loads of them in Miami. I mean, the crowd was insane, like full. I've never seen Miami crowd that full. It doesn't really get full.
No.
And Fonseca did his thing. Lerner Tien did his thing. I went to sleep.
You did your thing.
I did my thing. And yeah, obviously some great shot making in that. Kind of a note on Fonseca. He had what people had considered a bit of a disappointing week in Indian Wells, but in retrospect, not that disappointing because Jack Draper won every match in straight sets apart from the Alcaraz one.
Yes, and he went on to win famously the hardest challenger event of the year.
The Matteo Berrettini Challenger.
Exactly, yes. The one where, because basically the players who lose in the first week of Indian Wells, they kind of all go to Phoenix. And so it's always the challenger event with like the highest average ranking and stuff. So he went there and he won. So that's yet another great week for Fonseca this year. So always doing well, even when you think, oh, well, losing first round into straight sets, that's not that great. But then next week, back on track, playing well, beating at least top 50 players, if not better. So impressive.
Yeah, here's my prediction. He'll win Miami.
Okay. You could say 25 names and my reaction would be the same. I'd be like, sure.
Okay. Here's why. Okay. He's copying from Alcaraz's homework from 2022. He didn't make the Indian Wells final, but actually it was semi-final for Alcaraz, but they both lost. No, actually Alcaraz lost to the eventual runner-up. Fonseca lost to the eventual champion, so not miles off. He's got the Brazilian crowd behind him. I think it's going to be crazy vibes in Miami. I think let's go for it. There's no one else left. I mean, on similar notes of the draw, what it's looking like and what's happened in the first few days, Medvedev lost in straight sets to Jaume Munar, which is just an insane thing to do on hard courts as a person who has won this tournament before. Like, actually, that's crazy. I don't understand how that result could happen.
It's really bad. I didn't see it, so I can't, tell you. I think he was like complaining about the balls. He always finds something.
What was happening when he was? I mean, we know what happened at one point when he accused an umpire of colluding with a player, but what was happening when he was not an elite player and he would lose every single week? Was there always a complaint? Just every week?
I suspect there were lots of them, yes.
It's amazing he made it as far as he did, but yeah, that's Medvedev's prerogative. Tsitsipas has just lost, I think.
Did he really?
Or he maybe won in 3 sets.
No, he lost the first set, but he might be back on track.
No, he won. Tsitsipas has come from a set down to win, so he's still in. A few notable wildcard appearances. I think Miami's a big wildcard hub because of the IMG connection. We had Alex Iala and Victoria Mboko, who were both like notable wildcards. Both very good performances. Iala beat Ostapenko and Mboko just lost in 3 sets, third set tiebreak to Badosa. And we know everyone loses a third set tiebreak to Badosa. On the women's, yeah, Diana Schneider's out and Emma Navarro also out. So it's been allegedly almost a week of tennis, but not that much to take home. A couple upsets, Naomi making her way through. What are your predictions for Miami then?
I don't know. I feel like I'm stuck in Indian Wells, honestly.
Yeah, it's so much better, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the difference in vibes is wild to me. This full like stadium change, that happened like 10 years ago. I should get over it, but
no, it was so much better though, and it was better looking. The Miami court's it's so nothing. It's got such little personality.
It's 2 shades of blue.
Yeah, okay.
And this like main stadium, I just don't like it. It's always got like shade issues. It's never full because it's way too big for this event. Yeah, it's really hard for me to get excited about Miami. Like, you need to put like an amazing matches in front of me right now for me to actually get into it, honestly.
I think what usually happens is by the end I'm quite on board with it. I like all the background stuff they do. They always have those players go out to the community and do things. Jimmy Butler used to go every year, but he doesn't play for the Miami Heat anymore, so he won't be there. In terms of it being a thing on its own, it's kind of piggybacking on the Indian Wells. Oh, yeah, Sunshine Double. Yeah, that's us.
Literally, yes, I think so. Yeah, for sure. No, but it's always hard for me to get excited about Miami in the first week. So as far as predictions, I don't even know the draws that well, which is kind of embarrassing. I should have prepared better. But I know roughly who is where, kind of. I don't know. I think Sabalenka should do well. I think she could make another final, actually. She might have to actually to go through Andreeva again. Does she? I'm not sure.
Let's have a look at the draws.
I know that Keys is set up to face Swiatek in the quarters. That's in the bottom half. I know that for sure. So that could be something, a good match.
So Sabalenka would play Danielle Collins potentially, and then she could play Zheng Qinwen Rybakina, but she's out. So Ashlyn Kruger, she beat Rybakina. The two highest seeds now are Zheng.
She has Rybakina's spot in the draw, basically.
Yeah. So pretty good section for Sabalenka for the quarterfinals. She would then go against Coco or Sakkari, looking like the likely person from section 3, and then face Ons or Paolini or Naomi Osaka. So that's for a final. Those are the best players she would face before the final.
Yeah. If not for an amazing Osaka performance, I think she should make it to the final.
Or
actually,
she could lose to Coco.
That's true, but
Coco. She double bagelled Kenin.
That's true.
I think she does very well in the heat. She lives in Miami.
Yes, so it's her home event.
Yeah. So if it comes to that, it's kind of Naomi's as well. If it comes to that, I would consider Coco a pretty good matchup for Sabalenka. But yeah, a nice section for her. She loves the Collins head-to-head. And then Iga she's eyeing up a potential 4th round with Muchova again.
These draws are...
Oh yeah, they copied it.
It's always the same. She just faced Garcia in the 2nd round again. That really happened last week.
So she could face Muchova or Bencic or Svitolina. Actually, that's those 2 2nd round matches, Muchova, Azarenka, Bencic, Svitolina.
That's good.
Those are very good matches. So actually, Iga's section pretty tricky. She should still make it through that, and then she would go against Towson, Badosa, or Keys would be the next.
Seeing Keys, I think.
Yeah. Oh, what about Towson?
Oh, that's true. I forgot Towson famously Keys' ender or something.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Well, maybe Towson. She just won Towson, I think.
And then quite likely to be Pegula, Kalinskaya. So quite likely to be Pegula or Andreeva.
Okay, so Andreeva is actually there in that half. Okay, so what am I actually predicting?
As is Linda Noskova.
I'm actually really tempted to go just Sabalenka and Andreeva again.
That would be wild.
It would kind of be wild. So I'll switch it up. I'll go Sabalenka and Keys actually. Okay.
I thought you were gonna go Sabalenka Iga like every single tournament. Sabalenka Iga. Until
Swiatek figures her shit out, straying away, giving her time, which apparently she needs. She posted about that. Anyways.
Oh, I saw the essay. Yeah. We don't need to. People have read it.
I think it's an interesting read, but not something that needs to be discussed in depth. I don't think.
For the boys, it's just going to be nonsense, isn't it? Zverev could face Petri Pericard, Fils, or Tiafo, or Foki.
She's losing one of those.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Actually, that's a pretty hard section.
It is, and
Petri Pericard's a losable match. Fils would be a losable match. Foki's a losable match, and Tiafo's. There.
Well, Tiafo depends.
Rune and Draper could face in the 4th round. Juicy. Oh, but Rune could face Mahatch in the 3rd round. The winner gets to keep the short shorts.
Nice.
Menchik and Draper play next. Fritz and Shapovalov could face in the 3rd round, and then the winner might play Ben Shelton. That is a very, very weak section. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't have really any predictions. I do think Draper will back it up actually decently well. And as far as actually trying to predict, honestly, I'll go Alcaraz because who else?
Rude, Tommy Paul, Felix, Djokovic in his section. In Alcaraz's half.
I would still back him, honestly.
So you're going Alcaraz in the final?
Yes.
Against. You pick a name at random. I'll tell you if they're in the right half.
You know what? I'll go with that prediction, my failed prediction from Indian Wells, Alcaraz, Tsitsipas.
Okay, nice. I'll take Fonseca, Djokovic.
Sure.
Good. Well, we'll see how that happens. Oh, and on the women's, Andreeva, Osaka. I think they're in the same half, but whatever, it'll happen.
No, they're not actually.
Okay, so Andreeva, Osaka
Okay.
winning. I'll keep predicting her. That's that for tournaments. I think Sam has things to say on what has happened this week, which is the only real important thing I think that's happened off the court this week, which is the PTPA, and some names have been specifically mentioned, have filed a lawsuit against the ATP, the ITF, the WTA, and all those letters shoved together. I haven't really paid that much attention to it because I took one look at the names and I thought, this is nonsense. And I moved on with my life and I went to sleep.
I think it feels easy to be like, oh, so these people specifically, I think it was like Kyrgios, Opelka, those names stood out as like, okay, so now you want to advocate for tennis players, okay. But I don't think it should matter all that much because it's about players as a whole. The PTPA is claiming to represent loads of players. They said, they spoke to 300 players who all said they were really supportive of this decision. So it's like, sure, okay, let's just assume there is strong support from lots of players. What are we actually looking at? They are suing, I think, in different places. I don't know that much about like the technicalities of all of it. But this has happened before. I think especially in American like local leagues where there are organizations being sued, and usually it's settled before that. From what I understand, the PTPA has been really frustrated because they were founded in like 2020, and they haven't really made a mark in any significant way, I think it's fair to say. And that's not really blaming them. What they are saying is that they are not being taken seriously and they're not being listened to. So to force the hands of the powers that be, they are suing. And so it's a whole document where they highlight lots of issues with the tools, with the tennis calendar, with the system as it is set up. Lots of them, I do think, are good points, are important points that many people, many fans, many pundits have brought up as well, many players over the years, such as the length of the calendar, which comes up every year, such as players being basically forced to play in basically unsafe and extreme conditions. These are, I think, fairly uncontroversial ideas that these things should change, need to change for the players, and also that basically the tournaments aren't sharing the profit enough with the players as far as like the actual money being made. Usually the standard is like 50-50, and in tennis tournaments you're mostly around like 15% of revenue actually going to the players. So these seem like fairly reasonable points for the most part. And then you have points that I do consider to be way more controversial, where they get into the supposed like unfairness and tyranny of the ranking system. Basically, they have issues with the tours being set up as like a monopoly because the tours decide which tournaments, which places actually get to host official tournaments which award ranking points. And so they claim that this is a monopoly, and therefore it should be basically way easier for any place that has the money to claim a tournament and to award points on that basis.
Can I just say, it is funny, this whole monopoly, when they've listed like 15 people who are all like the Grand Slams and the ATP and the WTA and the ITF. It's like, it doesn't feel like there's only one person in control.
Yeah, no, yeah, they mean it's like a monopoly as far as there aren't like alternative systems or events that could be run without the approval of the WTA or the ATP.
Which is just how sport works. Like, I should be able to go, me and my friends, 10 of my friends will go to the park with 11 other people, and we'll play a match, and whoever wins should get points in the Premier League. And then if we get more points than Arsenal and Man City and Liverpool, we win the Premier League. If you say no, you are doing monopoly and you're doing tyranny. Like, what is this? Is just like anti-establishment for the sake of it? Like, I am pretty much as anti-establishment as a reasonable person can get. just doesn't make sense. Like, at this point, you don't want to be part of a elite sport. Sorry. Or any system, really.
Yes, I mean, this whole thing, I think, honestly, I actually think it's quite shocking how many players who like signed on this don't actually realize the actual consequences this could have. So you could have like a setup with golf which has basically 2 different leagues. So you actually have very few like weeks of the year where the best players actually compete against each other, which I don't think is actually desirable as a product like at all. So that's one thing. And also, so the idea is, if you have the money and if you can like pay top players to show up, which if you pay enough, a lot of them will do so. We can already see that with exhibitions. The idea is, if you can do that, you should be able to award points. So if you are ranked like 85th in the world, how can you guarantee that you are actually going to make it into the tournament? You know, the people who actually will make way more money are the people who are already pretty much rich, being the top players who actually draw crowds and draw interest. Okay, so that part is like, how do you claim to represent everyone, the small guy, people who struggle to break even, to just live as professional tennis players? How are you helping them if you want to enable a system where money is way more important and like being able to draw a crowd is way more important? Very few people actually qualify for that. That part specifically really rubs me the wrong way. I saw on Twitter that the PTPA is actually backed by some guy, honestly I don't actually remember the name, who is like a big private equity person. So as much as I would like to believe in the like good faith of this whole thing, there are red flags, lots of them, that I can't overlook. And what's really frustrating to me is that I'm never going to be that person who is like anti-union. I think unionizing is big in like basically...
Classic French guy.
Well, yes. And especially I think in sport, I think it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of players' unions in like basketball have gotten a lot of things done in track and field, I think, as well. So I'm not against players unionizing, but as we stand, the PTPA isn't actually a union. There isn't like a list of people who are signed like members of the PTPA. That's one thing, that's an issue. And then because of that, because they don't actually have the backing of lots of players that way, they can't threaten a boycott, which is actually how you get things done usually. Like in basketball, I think if they really want to push something, they'll be like, okay, so make this happen or else we are not playing, which makes sense. That's, I think, how it should work. But because they don't really have a strong backing, which we are noticing because they ask Alcaraz and Goff and like, oh, I actually didn't know about this like at all. So I can't really like put my name behind it. I don't really support it. So I don't think this is going to try like at all. I think this is mostly about the PTPA trying to land a blow, trying to make themselves heard and to become like a bigger factor in these conversations, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But as far as what is actually being suggested, there are lots of issues here, unfortunately, which I think are being a bit under-discussed and which make me question the whole thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a shame because I think some of the best things that athletes' unions can do is to fight for rights such as pay, making sure that they're being compensated for the work that they do. It sounds ridiculous because, of course, a lot of these guys are getting paid a lot of money and regular people take issue when things are framed in this way. But it's not just about the top guys, and it's about having some reasonable distribution between what the tournaments make and what the people at the top make versus what the players make. And in that sense, I think it's useful to still think of them as workers. Okay, some of them are workers who are getting paid a ridiculous amount, but some of them aren't. And that's an important question, is how the funds are distributed. The length of the calendar and how many tournaments people are expected to play is also an important point. But again, I mean, the way I haven't read the actual proper lawsuit. As we established, I went to sleep. But I've seen tweets and comments about it. The way a lot of that's being framed feels like we want a lighter calendar so that I can go with my mates to play an exhibition, get paid loads for that exhibition. Oh, and actually, there are ATP points as well. Yeah, look at that. So next time I play Six Kings Slam, whatever it was, I'll play for 18 minutes and I'll get double bageled and I will make 1.7 million and I'll get a few ranking points as well. Look at that. Isn't this tennis shit so easy? You know, you've pushed together, you've combined legitimate concerns with absolute nonsense suggestions, and it makes the whole thing rubbish, and it undermines the PTPA and the concept of player unions as well in this instance. Like from now on, it's hard to think of the PTPA, as you said, as like a legitimate organization. You're always going to be tied to whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, and I think this is actually going to go on for a while. I don't think this will go to trial, but also don't think this will be like settled. This could take years, actually, I've heard. Years of this being like a thing and not being resolved. So I guess we might have this conversation again quite soon.
Can't we just have a rest? Can tennis just chill out? I love it, and I like the sport a lot, but it's always something. I don't want to have to read so many documents and think about things in a serious way. Like, I just want to watch the balls. One thing we did get from that PTPA situation, this lawsuit, perhaps the worst video I've ever seen in my life, and I'm sure you know the one I'm referring to, Pavi G dancing. Have you seen it?
I have. This is a tennis Twitter deep cut, basically.
I don't think it's that deep. He is unfortunately quite famous.
Infamous Djokovic fan who has been, over the years, very vocal about the establishment.
Whatever that means, by the way. That is used to mean literally anything.
Yeah, no, the establishment and how they hate Djokovic and they always, back up Alcaraz. Well, it used to be Alcaraz, now it's Sinner.
I think it probably, even before that, was Federer.
Yeah, exactly, yes. They switched targets to go after. And he's so happy, he's so excited about this lawsuit, which is going to change tennis and make it fair and demolish the establishment. He's so excited, he's so thrilled that he posted this beautiful video of him dancing his heart out. So I'm excited for him. I'm thrilled, I'm overjoyed, and so is he, clearly.
Yes, very much so. It was like, I watched the Emma Navarro daddy-daughter dance thing and I thought that was bad, and then within the month I have watched a worse dancing video, a worse tennis-related dancing video. So let's see how this year goes. We've still got the Wimbledon ball.
I mean, we'll see how it unfolds. I'm like, this whole ranking thing is, I actually think, quite worrisome. Like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, if this actually becomes like a big thing and the tours actually have to like settle on this, we could be in for really weird times, and we could end up with like a pretty rough product as a result of this. But I don't think this will go to trial. I don't like these claims about like the rankings are actually nearly as popular about like complaints about like the calendar. That is something that I can see settlements over.
I think almost by the nature of it, the majority of players don't want things to be done. They want things to be roughly meritocratic, which is kind of what sport is meant to be or meant to reflect, even though it obviously doesn't. And I think the majority of players will think, I don't want Kyrgios to be able to get his rich friends together and organise an exhibition and then get points for that. Like, that's, I really genuinely believe that's how, the numbers will work. Yeah, and I think the majority of players are, sometimes this is a bad thing, sometimes it's a good thing. In this instance, I suppose it's a good thing. They want to just relax more than they want to be up in arms and start protesting. I think, like, someone like Alcaraz, he's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind the calendar being a bit lighter, but am I gonna protest and start suing people and doing this and that to change it? And I think this is why a lot of the way, like, the sport doesn't change that much.
Yeah, what I think is a shame is that actually tennis players aren't militant enough. Honestly.
No, not at all. Yeah,
they're combative enough usually, but so when you see this thing, it's like, oh wow, finally something is being done. That's exciting. That's cool. And then you look deeper into it, and it's like, oh, I don't know about all that. But I still have hope that good things will come out of this eventually, and the like bad parts of this whole lawsuit will just be like kind of forgotten about. That's the best case scenario, which I think is possible.
I also think it does set some precedent of people standing up and doing something about it. I mean, it's a rarity that players go out and do actual good things. Like there's that story of Venus Williams with the Wimbledon prize money. Obviously, the whole history of the WTA has been built on like people being stubborn and saying things and boycotting. There was the boycott in 1973. It's been a while. This is not a good action overall, I think we agreed on, but maybe some good actions will come from it. Hopefully.
We can hope. We shall see.
Okay, we will. I think that is that for tennis and tennis related. Well, we're still going to talk about tennis. It's a tennis podcast, but the tennis and the tennis related stuff. I think we can go on to predictions. Our little predictions game corner. If you have any to ask me.
This is super obvious, and you can tell I'm actually not that inspired, but I do think it needs to be asked. Andreeva is climbing up the rankings at a really quick pace. Where will she be in November?
November?
When the year has ended.
Okay. See, I tweeted about this, so actually loyal fans will know. My opinion changed. Sorry, Madison Keys. Number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy. I think that's crazy, but let me reason with it. Okay. She is as hyped and as excited as anyone, more so actually than any of the top players, and hungry for this to be a great year. I trust her success to... I trust consistent success on clay, grass and hard court, where I think Iga might lose a bit on grass. I think... Yeah, I don't think it's outrageous to say. Maybe it is. It is outrageous to say. But I can see it happening. I predicted Alcaraz being the year-end number 1 in 2022 off the basis of we're going to have a lot of guys who don't play full schedules, and there are parts where they lose points, and Alcaraz is just so hungry. I think we might see a very, very hungry Andreeva. I think she's going to win a slam, which is Wimbledon. And I think... I literally made this exact same argument a few weeks ago for Madison Keys. So if either of them end the year end number 1, I'm taking that. Yeah. Top 3, I do think is not conservative, but like a legitimate shout. What about you?
Yeah, I would say number 2 and number 3, actually. I think so.
You're not putting in that number 1 spot? No, that's for Keys.
I think it's for Sabalenka still, which was my initial prediction. Yeah, top 3 I think is possible. She's very much in a good position to do so, and also I think the issue for Swiatek is that usually when in March it's like, well, you know, there's so much time left on the calendar, so many tournaments left. We obviously the race will end up looking very different in 6 months. But for Swiatek, what just happened is actually an important part. This is she gets a lot of it out of it usually, and I mean it's not like she's like completely collapsed. It's not like she's 15th in the race or something after she's like number 4. So she still has like a decent amount of points for this stretch, but she would want it to be more. It tends to be more because she always wins Doha in Newells and stuff. I think that will make it more difficult for her. But beyond that, I think Andreeva top 3 is very much possible, which is crazy. Yeah.
Okay, great. I've got one for you. Will Iga win Roland Garros? Because, okay, so we're going for the 4P, which is ridiculous, very difficult. And she's had a bit of a sketchy start to the season, especially in the tournaments where you think she's going to perform, you hope she's going to perform. We seem to have a bit more competition now as well. What do you think?
I'll say yes, but I'm also way less confident than I have been in like the past 3 years. So take that for what it is.
Who would you put as the most likely challengers? Like, give 3 or so names. If not her, then
Sabalenka, Andreeva, and Goff.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty as expected, yeah. God, Andreeva made her way up quickly, didn't she?
Sure did.
Have you got another one for me?
Is Draper ever going to win a slam?
Yeah, good question. I'm too generous with this. You know, when I look at his game, I don't think so. Maybe that's being harsh. And I meant to mention about how I think he's kind of underhyped because I don't think the eye test really reflects how impactful his game can be.
I used to feel that way. My eyes have seen something.
Okay.
Something crazy.
Was it the Vogue photo shoots?
His forehand in the end was fine.
Okay.
To be precise, but sure.
I think it's quite effective. It's a very effective game. Will he win a slam? Yeah. Why not? I feel an affinity to him because, well, he's British. I shouldn't, but he feels very London, I think, even though he wasn't really London. And I love how boring he is. So
you love a London boy.
I love a London boy. I love a Surrey boy. Yeah, I think he will win a slam, yeah. Do you think so?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Not dissimilar to my one. So, how many big titles will Holger Rune have at the end of his year? I might career. I might have asked this question or similar one like that, but he's putting himself in a position quite a lot. Big titles, 1000s, year-end finals, Olympics, and slams. Putting the 1000s in there because you're an eager fan.
That actually makes it way harder, you know that. This one is just so difficult. It could be all over the place, from like 3 to like 20 or something. Well, which is why I'll go middle of the road. Let me go with like 11.
You think like that's lower than Zverev, I guess. Is that?
Oh yes, that's true. That's a bit lower than Zverev. Yeah. Yeah. So between like 11 and 15 or something.
But more than like Tsitsipas, who has 4.
Yeah, I can see him doing better than Tsitsipas.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tsitsipas has too few for what he should have.
That's true.
He's not good at winning titles. Okay, great. That's 2 each, right?
Yeah.
That's that. Okay, excellent. Nice and quick episode, this one. Okay, so I will do the answers from last week's question, which I asked people, and I actually think was a really good question because it turned out to be a bit more exciting and surprising than I thought it would be. So I asked, in anticipation of Iga and Carlos both defending their Indian Wells title, I asked, how many times and by whom have double defences been done since 2000 at the biggest tournaments? So that's the slams and the 1000s that are shared. I also put the year-end finals in there. Not really the same tournament, but it's kind of the same tournament. This took me a really long time to work out the answer for, so appreciate it. We figured out together that it happened. Do you remember what your kind of guesses were? Because I know you came up with some good considerations.
Yeah, I mean, I think you came up with like the really easy one though. Serena and Federer at Wimbledon. Yeah.
Okay, so I will go through the answers. Maybe I'll share the spreadsheet somewhere. I don't know, because it's interesting to look through because there are so many times where it has nearly happened, where like someone's won like 3 years in a row and then someone else has won like. So, for example, like a lot of the Wimbledons have. It's never been done at Wimbledon since 2000. No one's done it. I know, which you'd expect because Federer won loads of them. Serena and Venus kept winning them. Yeah, the times it has happened. Djokovic and Azarenka did it at the Australian Open in 2012 and 2013, which I had mentioned, came up with. Nadal and Justine Henin did the three-peat together, 2005, 2006 and 2007 Roland Garros. In Miami, it's happened twice. Can you guess those 2 names?
Is Federer and Serena one of them?
No.
Wow. Djokovic and Serena?
Yeah.
Okay. 4 times you said.
It's happened twice, so that would count
twice.
as one.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
That's one. Okay.
Okay, should I tell you? Same woman, different man.
Okay, it is Serena. Yes, that makes sense. Who was on Miami was on once aside from
early 2000s.
Djokovic and Federer.
Early 2000s.
Oh, is it Serena and like Hewitt or something?
Agassi. Serena and Agassi in 2002, 2003. It happened in Cincinnati. Serena and Federer in, what year is that? 2014, 2015. So that's the same year Serena and Djokovic did it in Miami. And then it happened in the year-end finals between Federer and Henin and Djokovic and Serena they did the three-peat.
So it's actually pretty rare.
It's very rare. I was like looking at this and if you actually looked at the details, you'd be like shocked. Especially look at the Nadal in Roland Garros, right? He won most of them, but then like just the way they matched up, a lot of these ones you'd be pretty surprised. It's almost like they're trying not to
make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, but so a rare feat. Obviously didn't happen in Indian Wells. Well done to anyone who was able to come up with any of them, if you had a go. I had last week's one I forgot to put the answer to. It's very numbery, and it has obviously changed since then because it was about Andreeva's win percentage. I'll post that on the Twitter. I think, yeah. I thought would be a bit different for this one. Instead of coming up with a question, Sam and I, because we're really cool in our own time, played a game where we tried to name all of the titles a player had won in order, just off the top of our heads. And we did it with Iga. I had a go at it. I think I did pretty well.
You did.
If I was properly being tested, I would have taken more time on it. But with a bit of hinting from Sam, I got through. So I thought this week we'd just play the same thing for a player. I'm going to ask you, though, and please, listeners, play along at home. Shout at the screen. Shout at the
at your phone.
At your phone, yeah. Go around shouting
on the street. Go. She won Berlin in 2005.
Exactly. Yeah. Please do that. Play along at home. So the player I'm going to ask you for, maybe it's easy for you. I want you to list all titles in a row in the career of Jannik Sinner.
It's actually not that easy.
Okay. I thought you were like a huge fan, so maybe you'd be able to.
I wasn't as huge a fan in like the early part of this.
I will tell you the first one's in 2020, and obviously you know when the last one is.
The first one, is it Sofia?
Yeah, well done.
And then 2021, did he win Sofia again?
He did, but he won two before then. One of them is not easy to get.
A lot of the early ones were indoors, I think.
So this was his first outdoor. This is just so forgettable.
Yeah,
it doesn't even exist anymore. It's the Great Ocean Road Open. It's just a pre-Australian Open tournament. That was when they were.
Oh yeah, they were making shit up because of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that is in July of 2021. I think this is gettable.
So that's on clay.
No. My uncle was there.
Did he win a grass title? In 2021?
No, my uncle does not live in the UK.
Okay, my bad. So it's on hard courts. In July. Washington.
Yeah. Well done.
Okay, so, and then he won Sofia again,
Yeah.
And then he won Antwerp.
Yeah, nice.
He had 4 titles in 21. Well, that's pretty.
Yeah,
amazing.
I remembered that. He was good that year.
22. I think he actually won no title.
He won one, and you will know it. Loyal watchers of the Sinner Alcaraz fan cam will remember.
It is on clay. It's that one. Is it Bastad?
No,
it's one of those.
Umag.
Okay, yeah, sure. that's one in 22.
Wow,
in
he only won one in 2022.
Yeah, he was kind of flopping. That was the 1 year where he was like not on an upward trajectory. He was injured a lot. 23. Okay, so nothing in Australia, I don't think. Did not win Rotterdam yet. No, he lost in the final to Medvedev.
Yeah, so just before that was his first very forgettable tournament. Think Hugo Humbert.
Marseille.
Yeah, I think it is. Open Stade de France. Is that Marseille?
Yeah, that's Marseille. That's one. In 23. Then he lost the final of Miami. And then I don't think he won on clay. And then on grass, did he have something already? I know he won Berlin last year. No, in 23, what happened on grass? He made the semis of Wimbledon. But he have a title before that? No, I don't think so.
It gets easy from here. Very easy from here.
Yeah, I don't think he won in the lead up to the US Open.
Are you sure?
Did he win Washington again?
Can you not remember this? This was the peak of the fraud allegations. August 2023. It's his first big title.
I actually did forget about that, which is wild. He won Montreal.
Wherever it was.
Yeah, it's in Canada. Okay, yeah. I somehow completely forgot about it. Okay, And then we get to the much more memorable, exciting part of late 23 when he won Beijing, Vienna, and the Davis Cup, which I don't think is...
Yeah, well, it's not on there. You're right, yeah.
24, he wins the Australian Open. He did like, in the lead up. He won Rotterdam. He won Miami. He won Berlin.
It's not Berlin for the boys.
Oh, my bad. He won the one Federer won all the time. Halle, yeah. And then he won Cincinnati, the US Open, Shanghai, the ATP Finals, and the Australian Open this year.
Nice work. That's good. That was a good run at the end. Yeah.
Forgetting about his first 1,000 is kind of shameful, but also that's not a very memorable run at all.
It's pretty crazy. And when I remembered it, I was like, yeah, that was like he's won Canada, Cincinnati, and US Open already. Like,
yeah.
And he's done a pretty good job of ticking off because he's got Shanghai, Canada, Cincinnati, Miami, like spreading out his and then obviously 3 slams, 2 different tournaments, like spreading out and the ATP Finals. He's a good, not stat padder, but a good stat getter. Do you have one in mind for me that you think I'd be able to do? I think it's a hard balance of getting them to be possible but not. Like, if you said Mukova, easy.
That would be kind of mean.
But if you said, like, Serena, I'd be like...
No, that's too difficult.
Yeah, of course.
Let's go with Monica Seles. No, just kidding. That's also hard. Goff.
No way! Oh, I'd never be able to do this.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, she won in 2019. She won indoors.
Okay, let me check. I actually don't have it in front of me.
I think she beat Ostapenko in the final.
I have it in front of me now. Okay, so in 2019, you said indoors. Do you have the name
in
now?
Europe.
Yeah.
Cluj.
No.
Give me a country.
Austria.
Linz. No, yeah, that's very famous. Was it Ostapenko in the final?
It was.
Okay.
That's a good one.
She didn't win anything in 2020.
No.
She didn't win anything in 2021.
She won something.
Did she? Was that the Australian Open lead up?
No.
Okay. 2021.
Clay lead up. Kind of forgettable.
Straz.
No. Oh, this one now takes place in like the summer in July.
Palermo.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah, because Palermo's got like a really good Palmares.
Yeah, from here it's easier, I think.
Is that it for 2021?
Yeah, it is.
So, Auckland or Hobart?
What year?
2022?
No.
3.
Yeah.
She went, okay. So 2023, Auckland.
Yeah.
Then she won... This is hard. / I'm not good at it and I'm being put under pressure. Give me a month of the next one.
The summer of golf.
Oh, so that was it until it came. Okay, so Washington, Cincinnati...
And
US Open. No, sorry, I was checking it was Cincinnati, yeah. And US Open, then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, are we waiting all the way until Beijing?
There is an early one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, she defended Auckland, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the 1000s in China, Beijing.
Yes.
Nice. WTA Finals.
Yes.
United Cup.
Doesn't count.
She got points for it. Is that?
Yeah. I'm just looking on the Wikipedia. Yeah.
She doesn't have very many titles.
She has 9. I think that's decent.
But it feels like she has more than that. It's only 8 more than Mukova. I think we could catch that.
She better get started.
Yeah, well, it's only 2 more than Naomi as well. Anyway, okay. Yeah, fun game. Guys, if you think there's anyone that we could do, because it's running out of names a bit, let us know. I thought about, like, Kvitova, but I think that would be too hard.
That's way too hard. She has like 30.
Yeah. I think Iga's the one with the most titles that we could do, and we did that in our free time. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything else to add?
I think we said quite a lot today.
Oh my god, it's so long.
This might be our longest, actually. That's crazy.
We'll fix that in post. I'll just cut out all the bits where Sam talks. It'll just be me. How's that?
It will be just as long. It just...
That's crazy.
Just kidding.
That's crazy.
Thank you for listening, for sticking with us. If you actually made it to the end somehow, I commend you. I thank you. We value your time, I swear. We really appreciate you seriously checking it out. If you have any any comments, anything you want to say, you can reach out on Twitter mainly.
We will be there.
We will be there, yes.
If you guys have an idea for a question, by the way, because it is actually quite hard for me to come up with these. Like, sometimes I have an idea and I think, that would be interesting. And then I'm like, oh, this takes 3 to 4 hours of research. If you have something off the top of your head, you think, peculiar, ask us. We'll see if we can figure it out. And then we'll ask the audience as well to see if either of our sisters know the answer. Back to you, sorry.
We will talk to you again probably right after Miami has concluded. We will wrap it up on the whole Sunshine Swing. And until then, take care and thank you for listening. Bye.